Everyone has a story to tell. Welcome to DingoTalk, where we explore the experiences that make us who we are. Here's your host, Carlo Guadagnino.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is DingoTalk. My guest this week is Ralph Isernia, the head football coach at RPI. And as we started last week, we are going to give you a little bit more information about RPI. So, first and foremost, it's located in Troy, New York. It's a private research college. It has a 53% acceptance rate, 77% early acceptance rate, with an 85% graduation rate and an 89% retention rate, which, we didn't talk about last week, but the retention rate's a big deal as well for the schools, especially in the Division III level when you have some of these smaller schools, bigger schools. The only way that they become a small school becomes a bigger school, you retain your students and you bring more in. So clearly RPI does that very well. It's $31,000 a year. The top three majors that they have is computer science, mechanical engineering, and aerospace, aeronautical, and space engineering. RPI was established in 1824, and it's the nation's oldest tech and research university. And as I said last week, the coaches that are recruiting you, the people that are employed with the admissions office and the admissions counselors that you're dealing with, they will have all this information. Also, if you're going to RPI, you're probably very smart, so you're going to be able to find this information. But if you need the website, it's www.rpi.edu. We're going to talk to Coach Isernia about the RPI program, going 8-3 overall, 3-3 in the conference, the ECAC Bowl that they participated in. We're going to talk about his coaching career, a little bit about the Liberty League, and that question about the playoffs, because it seems to be on every coach's mind here in Division III as the rumors continue to spread that as soon as this year we might see a 40-team playoff. There's still some things to be worked out there. With that being said, make sure you check out our socials. The only one that's different is the Instagram page. It's dingo_talk. And please hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave us a comment, because that really helps us out to find out how we can improve the show. Without further ado, this is Coach Isernia. What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is Dingo Talk. My guest this week is Ralph Isernia, head coach of RPI from the Liberty League. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Coach, I'm going to do this the same way I do every week. Our first and foremost goal is to get your story. Then we're going to talk about the program and the school. So, putting you in the time machine, how does a guy from Long Island find his way to Davidson?
Yeah, that's kind of a good story. I started out the recruiting trail and had a lot of interest in going to a high academic school. Going to a place, kind of like the Ivy Leagues and stuff like that. So, took a look at a lot of the Ivy League schools and, found my way to Davidson. A tremendous recruiter. I think a lot of times when we go into this and not really sure where we want to go, a lot of times it's the person that's recruiting you, Bobby Guarini, who's a guy that was my offensive coordinator at Davidson. He was a guy that recruited me out of high school. I later had a chance to work with him at one of my stops, but he was very charismatic and invited me down there for a visit. Just loved it. Fell in love with the place and what they were doing. Obviously, it was a high academic school, and I also had the chance to not only play football but play baseball there. So, being in a warmer climate and having the opportunity to play about 60 games in baseball, that was something that was very appealing to me. And then, also being able to study high academics. So that was the journey down there. And I wasn't sure when I was graduating from college what I wanted to do. The idea was, studying a pre-law curriculum, going to law school. That was something I wanted to do. Took the LSATs, was thinking about law school, and I saw the price tag, and what I was going to have to pay and that sort of thing. And I said, you know what, let me go get my master's degree. Maybe that'll maybe that opened up some more doors for me going to law school, maybe getting some more aid, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But I went to Western Connecticut, was able to get my master's degree there and coach football. And to be honest with you, I think it was maybe the first day, I knew I wasn't going to look back. So making coaching a career and working with young people every day. So that's I think that was the appeal, and that was the path that I took starting out.
Now, from Western Connecticut, once you finish your 2 years there. It's a quick jump from a position coach right into being an offensive coordinator, which you were at Methodist. How did that job come about?
Well, the head coach. So again, it was another Davidson tie. Our former defensive coordinator at Davidson, Jim Seifold, had just taken over the job at Methodist, which was it was a new program, and it didn't have a whole lot of success, and it was going to be a rebuilding project. And I had the opportunity to get on there full time with him. Someone who I knew and looked up to a lot. I mean, he was a guy as our defensive coordinator at Davidson, was very inspiring. Was a fiery guy. A lot of the offensive guys would go into the defensive pregame meeting and hear him spitting and yelling, screaming, and everything, really getting everyone fired up. So he was a very charismatic guy and a guy that was very instrumental in my journey as a football coach. And being there for 6 years with him and having success and really turning the program around was something that was important. But I left and went to Defiance, and a chance to be on my own and call plays and delve into a couple other things offensively that we were looking to do. And then my best friend from Davidson, he wound up getting the head job at Mansfield, and they had a coordinator position open. So I went over with Chris Woods and worked with him for 3 years, and we had a lot of success there, turning that program around. And we had guys that were nationally ranked. We had guys that we had the winningest season in Mansfield University history. That was very rewarding, but obviously looking for something else. He left and he went to Stonehill, and then I left and I went to Bucknell for a year, and learned a whole new system. Again, there was another Davidson tie right there. Tim Landis was former head coach at Davidson. After I left, he was the head coach at Bucknell, and I was on there for a year. And then I left to go to University of Charleston and work with Tony DeMeo, who was a great mentor, a great friend of mine now in the coaching profession. And we took a team that was, I think it was 0-10, 0-11, and the first year there we went 7-4 and had a lot of success. Was able to recruit some outstanding student athletes there to University of Charleston. Then he retired. And then I went to Ferrum College, worked with Dave Harper, who's the head coach. He was our linebackers coach when I was at Davidson. I was playing there. We had a lot of success at Ferrum. The RPI job came open, and it was something that was very appealing to me, going to a high academic school, going to a place that had success. I knew the type of student athlete that we could recruit there. I knew it would be challenging in the Liberty League. From every single week, it's going to be a battle. But it was something I believed in. The administration was very supportive. Was going to give us everything that we needed to be successful. We've got outstanding facilities here, which is certainly a great calling card. But also the academics is really what draws a lot of the students here first and foremost, and then the ability to play football at a high level.
Now, Coach, I watched when I was doing my prep for this. I watched your initial press conference when you got introduced, and it's interesting you brought up the facilities. I believe the question was, wow, coach, what did you think of our facilities? Pretty good for a Division III program. And your quote 10 years ago was pretty good for a Division I program. So you guys have a fairly nice facility. It also has to be nice for you being now at Troy, New York, and
Yep.
Long Island, about 3.5 hours for you, 3.5 hour
Right.
drive or so. So
Yeah.
close to home. Let's dive into RPI though. So first and foremost, talk to us about when a student's coming to RPI, what are they looking to study? What is the academic structure like? And then what are you looking for? Obviously, other than guy got to be able to play football.
Mhm.
What are you looking for in a player?
Right. Well, RPI is the oldest technological institute, college, university in the country. We've got a long storied history of engineering success. I guess you would say that. A lot of the things that you see today, every bridge that goes, every major bridge that goes in and out of New York City was built by RPI engineers. The old Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium, that was built by RPI engineers. The MRI machine, the digital camera, the first digital camera was invented by RPI. Email was invented by RPI. So there's a lot of technological things. Sunscreen was invented by RPI. So there's a lot of things. There's a long storied history here of those successes, and I think that's one of the things that draws a lot of our people here. We're an engineering school. We're a STEM school. But we have 5 different schools within RPI. So it's not only our School of Engineering, we've got our Lally School of Business, who's one of the highest nationally ranked business schools in the country. We have our School of Architecture, our School of Science, and we have our Humanities School here as well. So really, there's just about anything that someone wants to study, they're going to have the opportunity here. Being a high academic school, the first thing that we look for with recruits before we even turn on the film is we've got to dive into their resume, which is their transcript, their high school transcripts. We got to make sure that they're taking the right classes, that they're doing well in the classroom. SATs, that's something that we look at as well. So before we even turn the film on, we've got to make sure that this person's going to be a viable candidate for admissions. Are they going to be competitive here for admissions? Because it is a challenge. It's a challenging school. I think if you're the type of person that RPI wants, if you're the type of person we want in our football program, you're going to love to compete. You want to compete in the classroom. You want to see how good you can possibly be. And the curriculum here at RPI, it's challenging, right? That's coach speak for difficult. I mean, it's going to really stretch them in the classroom. But the people that want this education know that in the end, when they graduate, they're going to be more prepared than some of their competition that are coming out of some other schools. And I hear that all the time from our alums. Our alums come back, and when we were growing up, parents would say, "Hey, it's not going to be like this in the real world. It's going to be tough. It's going to be all this stuff." Our guys come back and say, "Coach, RPI was tough. This real world stuff, this is easy. This is easy for us." And our guys they're getting phenomenal jobs, and they're all across the country, and they're getting well-paying jobs as well. So it's rewarding for me as a coach to see that success, because ultimately, what my job is to take them is from where they are to where they want to be. And to help develop them not only in the classroom, but on the football field, in the community, in leadership, and become better people for society. So when I see that success in them, and they're getting the jobs that they want, and they're excited about, hey, I've got 5 job offers right now, and I'm weighing all that stuff. That's what's very gratifying, for me. So in our program, we've got, just like every great organization, we have a mission statement, and it frames everything that we do. And we're a leadership development program that produces champions on and off the field. So what we do is more than just football. Yeah. If we were just to say, hey, we just want to have, football players here, and you'll chew them up and spit them out after 4 years, we wouldn't be doing our job. Our job's about education. Our job's about bringing young people along. And it's exciting for me to talk to students that are equally excited about their academics as well as the football part of it. And, we talk about two things. Hey, you want to be great in the classroom, you want to be great on the football field. So it's 1 and 1A here. And I can honestly say, out of all the stops they've been at, I've had some of my favorite players at some of the other schools, and some of them have coached with me. But I can honestly say this group here at RPI, this is the most dedicated group that I've ever seen in the classroom, and then also on the football field. They're extremely passionate about the game. They're devoted to the weight room. They're devoted to getting better. And, you can see that with some of our guys that come in as a freshman, they don't play a whole lot, but then all of a sudden through their junior and senior year, they've developed and they're making a valuable contribution for us on the field.
Coach, can you elaborate or give us this backstory, but behind and I want to make sure I get this right, the Dutchman Shoes Game? Can you, that's a big rivalry. It's you guys in Union. Give us the backstory with the rivalry and how it started. And obviously this year you guys came out a little short against Union, but I think that's been a back and forth battle between you guys for a while now.
Yes. And the Dutchman Shoes Game is the oldest rivalry in New York State. And the two schools are separated maybe by, less than 15 miles. So there's a lot of, obviously there's going to be, heated competition on the field, but we also kind of go head to head on the recruiting trail as well. So it's not unusual for someone to go visit their place and then come over and visit RPI and vice versa. So, we're keenly aware of their roster. They know the people that are on our roster as well. So it's a heated rivalry, and it's one of those games that you circle every single year on your schedule. It's going to be the last regular season game. I know for our alums, and I would imagine their alums as well, if they have one game, if they can only pick one game to come back for, it's probably not going to be homecoming. It's going to be the shoes game. So the Dutchman Shoes Trophy, was created. There's two Dutch clogs on there. One has the R on it, one has the U on it, and it is a big deal, and it gives you bragging rights for the entire year.
Now, interesting you brought up recruitment. What is for you guys? Is there a specific location that you're looking at as the core? Is it 15 miles outside, 30 miles outside? How do you guys break? What is the region that you guys successfully recruit in or recruit in general?
Yeah, well, our RPI it's a nationally known brand. It's a brand that's known throughout the world. So we nationally recruit. We go all the way to California, to Texas, to Florida. We've had guys on our team from Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Canada, guys from outside the States. And there's a lot of competition for the type of student athlete that we're looking for, especially if it's going to be, the high academic schools, if it's going to be the Ivies, if it's going to be the Patriots and the NESCAC schools, it's going to be your other, high engineering schools, those sort of things. So, we have to get out of our region to a certain degree and go and find those people where those pockets of a high STEM concentration are, and then also where they play great football. So we nationally recruit. I think if you look at our roster, our footprint is still in the Northeast down to the Mid-Atlantic. But we do get a number of students that are from out of region and from across the country.
Coach, let's talk about the 2023 seasons. You're 8-3 overall, 3-3 in the conference, finishing up the season with a big bowl win, ECAC Bowl win over Widener, 49-21. Let's talk about the season as a whole, and then where we're heading now that the off season's in full swing.
Yeah, the 2023 season, I think if you would ask a lot of people that follow the Liberty League, probably would have said that RPI was kind of a question mark coming into the season, based on what we lost production wise from 2022. So 2022, we had top 5 defense in the country. We had a couple of All-Americans on that defense, a bunch of starters who were leaving the program, and then offensively, we had our top three receivers lead the program production wise. So there were a lot of question marks coming into the season. And what I was extremely proud about, and it was great to see how many people were able to step up and take over those new roles. This was probably the hungriest group of players that we've had, because they knew they had an opportunity. So we were getting production from guys that may have been 2s or 3s receiver wise, that all of a sudden step into a starting role, and then they just wind up flourishing. I was proud with our quarterback Jake Kazanowski, who came back into his junior year. He started about midway through his sophomore year, and he's just won games ever since. Yeah. He's a guy that obviously we're going to count on for 2024, but he was able to distribute the ball around to a number of different guys and be a point guard on offense. Defensively, we had a number of guys step up and get significant playing time that maybe they hadn't, the year before. And the production from our linebackers and our secondary and our defensive line was able to put some pressure on the quarterback. Special teams wise, we had the special teams player of the year, Sterling Walker Sutton, who was nationally ranked returning kicks and returning punts for us this past year. So he leaves, but going into the 24 season, we have a lot of those guys back. I think we have 8 starters back returning on the offensive side, and we have 8 starters back returning on the defensive side from last year's team. And, last year's team, 2023, that was the 9th consecutive postseason appearance for RPI. So it was a school record, 9 consecutive years playing in the postseason, whether it's the NCAAs or the ECAC. So, we're excited about the upcoming season. Obviously, we've got a lot of work to do here with off-season training, and then getting into spring ball, and also finishing up our recruiting class. But we're excited about what 24 is going to bring.
Now, Coach, there's a couple of things I want to unpack there. One, a lot of talk going on right now with the Division III National Committee, everybody meeting and whatnot. I know there was a lot of rumblings when the selection happened this past year. Are you for the expansion of the playoff system? And do you think 40 is the good number? Is there somewhere is there something else we need to be looking at when we factor into this? Where do you stand on all that?
Well, I think 40 is a good number. I think that's a good number, and it's still a lower representation of how many football playing schools are that make the playoffs compared to other sports. Yeah. So you're not, you don't have a 64 team, basketball playoff. So I think 40 is a really good number. And if you're looking at the season and how the season extends, you're only factoring in just a handful of schools going into the semifinals, and then obviously whenever you're going to play the national championship game, then you're looking at just 2 teams that are going to be factoring in as far as that's concerned. But I think any chance that you have to play more football, to have student athletes enjoy, the experience that they have, the brotherhood that they have on the field, I think that's great for college football.
And then my other question, and I know you've touched on it a couple of times, with you guys being such a rigorous academic school, does the transfer portal come in for you guys? Is that something you guys are checking? And the reason I ask that is I've talked to a lot of coaches last season. We're just now kicking up here for season 4. And it was a split. There were some coaches that said, couldn't even tell you what our transfer portal login is. And then there were some people that said, no, we check it every day. We're not recruiting from there, but if we see somebody that maybe we recruited and they're now in the transfer portal, we might reach back out. Where do you guys stand on that?
Well, we're not, we're not a heavy transfer portal school. I think, the number one thing is academics. A person that's going to be a transfer here to RPI, obviously they have to have a great academic record. We have had students that have transferred to RPI, and we do our homework with that. One of the requirements that we have is that we need to have had a previous relationship with that student athlete. So we may have recruited them, they chose to go somewhere else, and they say, hey, coach, the grass isn't always greener, it's just AstroTurf. Okay, so they wind up coming back, they wind up, contacting us. And if it winds up being a fit, then we'll pursue it. So we don't get a ton of transfers here. I think over the years since I've been here, it could be in 10 years, maybe it's less than 10, but it's got to, like I said, it's got to be the right person, the right fit, and person that we've had a previous relationship with. I think it's difficult if you're, going from, if you're saying, hey, there's, 5,000 people in the transfer portal, so we got to recruit that. A lot of those students are coming from scholarship situations. So they're getting, a football scholarship to play, but going to Division III, now they're going to have to pay some money out of pocket. So they're not used to that. So a lot of those students are not going to be viable for us, and certainly not viable at the Division III level.
And then with the Division III, talking about the Division III level, what's the significance of Division III when you talk about how, the myths out there that Division III is just a glorified intramural sports, et cetera. What's the significance for you? What do you feel Division III means to sports and academics as a whole?
Yeah, I think if you were to talk to any football coach that coaches Division III, they would, they'd be offended that if people think it's a glorified, club sports and that sort of thing. It's 13th grade. No, it's not. And I think one of the things when students start playing at this level, or we've got a chance to sit down with them, show them our highlight film, or show them our teach tapes and stuff like that, I think they have a different perspective of what football is all about. You can go to some schools and maybe they don't take it as serious, but I think every school in the country that's playing Division III is going to take the football aspect of it very serious. And people need to understand that the time commitment that you're going to put in, it's going to be very similar to what you're going to see in season in Division I and Division II. And you're going to play this game at a high level. You're going to play against great competition. I think the significance for me is being able to coach young people that want to have a great education and play football at a high level and play on a national stage. That's important to them because at some point in time, regardless if you do have the opportunity to play professional football, at some point in time, the ball's going to stop bouncing. And, if you can extend your career 4 more years into college, and you can make lifelong relationship, lifelong friends. You can play a sport that teaches things more than just throwing, running, catching, blocking, and tackling. I think that's that for Division III, and not only for football but for every Division III sport out there. It gives people a chance to have success and to also have friendships that are going to last a lifetime.
Coach, why? Let me think of how I want to ask this question. So, for the career that you've chosen, we know that it's an always revolving door. Wins, losses, ups, downs, etc. Why for the last 10 years? And I think you've touched on it a couple of times during this conversation. But why for the last 10 years has RPI stayed your home?
Yeah, I mean, we have so many advantages here that it's difficult to leave. I think first and foremost, the student athletes that we have a chance to recruit and coach and develop. who are phenomenal, and they want to be great in the classroom and they want to be great on the football field. The administration, which is very supportive of us, and um, really speak the same culture and speak the same language that we speak as well. So we're very, we have that support. And this has been home, for me and for my family. My son played for me and graduated from RPI as well. So this is truly a special place for us.
Coach, we have one more question focused on the football, and then we go to our lightning round. It's 5 questions of just kind of getting to know you. My last question is, I know it's a little early, but what's the message for 2024 from RPI to alumni, to the rest of the Liberty League, to the rest of Division III football?
Well, I think the teams that play us and the teams that know how we play, they know our style. They know that we're going to be well prepared. We're gonna play every single play like it's our last play. They know that there's no let up from our guys. We haven't released our schedule yet, but just kind of a sneak peek. We're playing a national schedule. We're going to be playing against 6 teams that played in the postseason last year. 4 of them played in the NCAAs, that's something that's important for our guys, to play meaningful football, to play games against national opponents, and put it out there and see where we land. We've had a lot of success here in the last 10 years, and being on the national stage, I think that's something that our guys really enjoy.
All right, Coach, this has become my favorite part of the show because it's a little bit of break from football. So it gives us a little bit of a look into you. So if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Where would it be?
Yeah.
Well, I would say right now it'd be Troy. Okay. But maybe after the career's over and stuff like that, it would definitely be it'd be in Florida, where I get a chance to play golf and enjoy the sunshine.
What is the most important lesson that you've learned over your career?
That's a good one. I would say that it's about building the right ships. It's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that as a staff on the recruiting trail. It's about building relationships with the young people, with the families, and show them that they're going to be cared for when they're here. When they get here, it's just fostering those relationships. And as we talked about before, our guys are going to be making some lifelong friendships, lifelong bonds with the people in our program. And it's important for our people that are in our program to understand that we have devoted our professional careers for them.
If you weren't coaching, what would you be doing? Golfing?
I would be I'd be trying out for the senior tour.
I like that. Best compliment you've ever received?
Best compliment I ever received. Well, we talked about the Dutchman Shoes game the other day, and this last season, I don't know if this was a compliment, but there were so many fans over there that were telling me that I was number 1. They were just using the wrong finger, so maybe that's not so much a compliment.
Well, that goes into the second part of that question is, what's the best insult you ever received? I guess we'll chalk that up to a compliment and an insult all rolled into one.
I will tell you this, is that probably the best compliment I ever received was from Mike Craig, who was the head coach at Hobart before he retired. And this was, I want to say, his last year before he retired. We played at their place. Had the chance to beat them on a last second 2-point conversion stop. And before the game, he said to me, and now we were just rebuilding. We were just starting to get good and get competitive. And he said, I really love the way you guys play. I really enjoy watching you guys on film. And I thought that was something that coming from him, where they were the conference champions, and they had some great players and stuff like that. I thought that was a good compliment for our program.
And then the last question I've asked every coach, -1. Was there a question you were expecting me to ask you? And if so, how would you have answered it?
Their question. The question that I thought you were gonna ask was gonna be about the Dutchman shoes, and you probably wanted me to describe the trophy for you. Okay. But the other thing is that we actually play two rivalry games, two trophy games every year. So one is the Dutchman Shoes game, and that's against the team across the river. And then we also play the Transit Trophy game, okay, which is against WPI. So the Transit is an engineering tool that they use, and we play that against WPI every year. So that's an out of conference game for us, and it's usually scheduled, I believe, the third week every single year. So we're pretty fortunate to play two trophy games every year.
I did not know that there was a second trophy game in there. Now, I guess let me ask you this: is that abnormal for Division III to have two different, quote unquote, rivals there that way?
I don't know. It was, they've done that for such a long time here, playing those games. There's, I think back in the day, when presidents got together or ADs got together and they wanted to put some stakes in the game and stuff like that, they would make different trophies. And, it just so happens that, they wanted to play for an engineering trophy, and that's what they came up with. So it's exciting. And I think, anytime that you can lend some excitement and put some extra stakes on the table and stuff like that, I think that's exciting for college football.
Coach, I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up here. I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with us. For those of you sticking around, we come back with Overtime with Serenity Brown, where we're going to be hopefully explaining some more football to her so that when she makes her picks come regular season, we're not just picking out of the blind. But this has been Coach Isernia, Coach I, for his players and whatnot. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with us, and we'll be right back, Chuckleheads. What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carla Guadagnino. This is Overtime with Serenity Brown. That's her. We just finished up with Coach Isernia from RPI. We're going to continue as we did last week. We're going to find out what questions Serenity has about football. When we finished last week's segment, she, as she said in the segment, I threw a lot of information at her very quickly. So we're going to kind of peel that back a little bit. And then we're also going to see if she actually did her homework. Probably not. And then maybe I'll sleep in my recliner tonight. So let's start with last week. A lot of information. What would you asked a very, very simplistic question so that you could understand the positions that I said. So do you remember that question?
So I asked if we could go over the different positions and in terms that I will understand, what's their job? What are they supposed to do? All right. That's what I want to go through.
Where would you like to start? Do you want to start on the line? And we're staying on offense, right? This week?
We can stay on offense this week and do defense this week. Do you want to talk about my homework first?
No, we'll come to your homework.
Okay.
Which means that right before we shot this segment, you studied just enough to have talking points. So she did her homework, but like most of us back when we were in school, she did it as the teacher was collecting it. So that being said, which position would you like to start with? You want to start with the big guys? You want to start with the skill guys? Or you want to start with the guy that runs the whole shebang?
I don't think that. Is there ones that are like more important?
No.
I feel like everybody's
11 guys, both sides of the ball. So 11 guys are as important as each guy is as important as the other. So we're going to do the linemen together. You have 5 linemen, as I told you. You got the guy at the center. It's the guy that hikes the ball to the quarterback.
Don't they have like position names though?
Center.
That's just
No, that's the center's name.
Okay.
Then there's 2 guards. Those are the two guys right next to the center. They're blockers. They're never going to... Every once in a while, you might get a big man in there that you throw the ball to, but that's...
Okay.
Guards are not that guy. Guards are just nitty-gritty, get out there, beat the hell out of their guy. Tackles. Those are the big men on the outside. Their job normally, one of them is to protect the blind side of the quarterback because you're on the edge there. The other side, quarterback can see it. You still want to make sure you're set. You're the guy setting the edge, right? Then stay on the line, but now this is where it gets a little different. You have a tight end. Now, a tight end's job is to block and receive. So he can run routes like a wide receiver will. He's also going to be there during running downs to be an extra lineman, especially if you have a really good blocking tight end. You're going to use that because you can run to that side. You can run off of, for my football people out there, most of us were taught back in the day, you follow your blocker's ass.
So a tight end,
if he's blocking, will be on the line, 3-point stance, which just means he has his fingers in the ground.
so a tight end blocks and
Catches. Yes.
Okay. I'm just in my brain.
Hey,
I'm trying to put these into little sections so that way when we get to the next position, I can separate them.
That's what
and
we're here
know
for.
what they actually are.
So we're staying this way, right? So we're going down the line. On each side, you would probably, some offenses, you'll have two receivers, an X and a Y.
And they just...
Or an X and a Z, sorry. They block as well. You're going to block on the outsides. Like if your running back runs...
So what's the difference between them and tight end? See, this is where I get confused.
Tight ends are normally bigger bodied. You can have a very small wide receiver. They can be moved, interchanged within different parts of the receiver move. Whereas a tight end is normally a big body. They could have been a lineman at one time that maybe lost weight or had, not that they didn't have the skill before, but they lost a little bit of weight. So, and you see that they're fast or they have a jumping ability or they can catch a football. You're going to use them. Now you're not going to have him running 50 yards down the field. This isn't, not everybody's Travis Kelce or Pat Fryermuth or any of the guys in the NFL, but
okay,
it's a good guy to have as a check. It's called a check down, which is what when nobody else you can throw to, you throw to your check down. Okay. So you're two wide receivers. Now you can also take the tight end out and add a slot, which is just another skill guy. It's another wide receiver, fast guy. That slot would be, so I'm going to use this line again, right? The slot will have to stay off the line because he's eligible to catch the ball. One guy has to be on, one guy has to be off when you're talking about receivers. The slot has to be off or he can't receive the ball. It's an illegal touching. Okay. The slot can be a running back. Think of fantasy. The flex position.
Yeah.
Can be a running back. Can be a wide receiver. Could be an extra. You want to bring another tight end in, but you have a tight end that's maybe not good at blocking, but good at catching. You use him in the passing downs.
Now, what is a running back do?
The running back's job is in pass protection. He would be blocking for the quarterback.
Okay.
On rundowns, you're gonna hand him the ball. I'm trying to think of a running back that would jump out at you, and I'm drawing a blank right now. North Central's Joe Sacco. That was the kid that just kept every time he would look like a ping pong ball, bing, bing, bing. So, and running backs can catch the ball out of the backfield. In fact, there's a whole play called running back screen, halfback screen, where the running back kind of goes like this, and all the linemen let their guys go and start to move this way. You throw the ball to the running back, and then they have a convoy of people to go. And I used the word fullback last week, which I now realize it's another running back. It's more same like tight end wide receiver wise. The fullback is normally just a blocker. You're going to hand him the ball on like 4th and 1 to get that 1 yard because he's a bowling ball. But most of the time you're sending him through before the running back so that the running back has a hole to run through. Like your lineman will block, and then there's defenders, right?
Yeah.
The next line, so the two lineman groups, when you get past them, there's a linebacker on the other side. Most of the time your fullback is going to go through the hole and smack the first thing he sees on the other team. He's just a blocker. can throw the ball to them, similar to, like I said, with the running backs. You can throw the ball to them, but it's not normally used.
This is why I'm confused on positions.
Also,
I feel like they all do the same thing. Some are just bigger than others.
No. Linemen can't catch the football. Linemen can't run the football.
Well, besides people who are just meant to, like, hit.
And wide receivers are skilled. Running backs are skilled. That's what their skill. That's what their classification is. Their skilled positions. And then your quarterback. I don't need to explain the quarterback. That's heads or tails there.
Yeah.
So hey, if I'm getting anything wrong out there, please feel free to chime in and tell me I'm wrong. Maybe you have a better way of explaining the offensive positions. Chime in and let us know. Now, your homework was to come with an opinion on the transfer portal. First off, what did you learn about the transfer portal?
Not much new from what I already knew from watching. Can't remember whose interview it was you were talking about with, but you guys had talked about it. I remember watching that.
What do you think of do you think that that's a good thing for sports?
I see both sides of it.
Okay, I'm here.
So, like, on one hand, I can see it being beneficial, like, if a student really isn't meshing well with the school they're at, and they want to transfer somewhere else that they feel would be a better fit for them, it would be beneficial because they have that tool. But on the other side, I can see how it can be abused.
Do you feel, instead of the original question, do you feel that majority of the people that are jumping into that transfer portal, are they on this wasn't the right fit, I want to transfer back to maybe a school, or are they grass is greener on the other side and I'm not getting what I want here, so we're gonna...
Yeah, I think it could, a lot of it is probably, I'm not getting enough play time, or
I'm going to be honest with you,
I don't like coach because they're mean to me.
I haven't seen enough. So the statistics on the portal aren't clear yet because there is this negative stigma around people wanting to travel to where the grass is greener on the other side. In fact, I talked to a coach this week that flat out said they tell their players the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just it's the way of life. Like, when you think that's going to happen, that's not necessarily how things go. I definitely think the portal is useful. I think, especially at the Division III level, it's more useful than what it's being used for at the Division I level, which is basically glorified free agency. And if that's what we want to do, okay, make it free agency. You're already paying the guys. But, don't tell me that these guys are transferred for academic purposes when they're going from Power 5A to Power 5B because Power 5A decided halfway through the season, we might redshirt you because we want you to get a little bit more under your belt. I don't like that. I'm not getting the experience. I think that's more in the Division I game than it is in the Division III game. But I agree with you. I think there's a lot of kids sitting in that portal that are maybe going about it the right way, and they were recruited by RPI, and it just wasn't a fit right away. Or it was, but they wanted to go test the waters somewhere else, and now they want to come back. That makes sense. Obviously, I think coaches, it's just recruitment all over again. You're going to go talk to high school coaches. You're going to go talk to the coach that they're transferring from. Why are they leaving? What do they like? And at the end of the day, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. It's what my old football coach used to tell me, and it's the truth. If you can play and the tape shows that, you're going to be all right. You'll find a home. But tape's not everything. Your attitude, your character, who you are as a person, those are all things that are going to factor in. So with that all being said, next week, defense. And I want you to come with a little bit of pre-knowledge. So just familiarize yourself with the position so that you're not looking at me like I'm stupid when I'm talking to you.
I was genuinely trying to.
Oh no,
understand.
you were the offensive side. I'm okay with, but now we're going to your side of the ball. So you better know what you're talking about, or at least come with some questions. But we'll see you next week, Chuckleheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Dingo Talk. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. For more info and to contact the show, you can find us on Twitter @DingoTalk.